were things in your life really just, I mean, crashing? Like, what was it at that moment that you're like, no, I really have to take control of this?
Yeah, so it was a series of things that compounded over a few years. So I started a company. It was chaotic. Raised money from investors, famous celebrities. Was in at times feeling untouchable, rocket ship, and then everything was collapsing and it was failing. And behind the scenes and underneath, what everything was struggling. So when I sold it to a competitor for half of what I would have made as a salary employee previously,
Oh,
right? So under the curtain, you start seeing, okay, well, that wasn't really such a win, right? And then,
yeah.
but I w- but I was able to do the first part. I was able to do this, and then the next company was okay, but sold it to my partner and then went through a divorce. And I had a 1 year old son at the time, and then in that year of divorce was in and out of the hospital for a number of back surgeries. And then so I had come off of two companies, starting and selling both of them for combined, what somebody in a senior executive makes in a year, right? So in many ways, okay, you spread that over the 5 years it took to build them.
Yeah.
Suddenly the and then I'm going through a divorce, and then I'm in and out of the hospital, and I'm now 38, and I have a 1 year old. It's what the hell's going on,
Yeah.
right? How would I end up in this situation? And more importantly, what am I going to do differently moving forward? So I uniquely had an entire year because of the circumstances out of work. In between surgeries, I was recovering, getting ready to go back to work. Another, the back went out again. Then I was recovering. I got a high paying job at a really fancy startup. I started there. I was on top of the world. That first weekend, my back went out.
Gosh.
Found out it was infected from the previous surgery. They had to go in again.
Wow.
2 months later, it was healing. Everything was good. I went in for a second opinion, and they found out there was an infection that spread, and I actually needed a much bigger 2 level fusion. So most people don't have all day every day healing and doing nothing all day to work on themselves and rebuild their life.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate in that regard, but then it also showed me how little most people know and how much I had to dig and discover and hodgepodge together, and spent years then from then on working with coaches and psychiatrists. And it started to feel like this is something people need to know more of.
So I think with that too, because obviously your own experience, but now you've worked with um, loads of individuals who have ADHD. I'm curious, like, what is that pathway that you got yourself out, or that you're helping clients? Like, what does that look like to be able to? I don't want to say overcome it, but live alongside and dance with ADHD.
Yeah, well, I think it is live alongside it. I think if you look at different types of physical disabilities, there's countless examples where people maybe with one leg have gotten a prosthetic, they've learned how to do it, they go in the
Yeah,
Special Olympics, they're more athletic than I could ever be, right? And in the grand scheme of things, their life isn't, not to speak for them because I don't know, but I'm saying there are circumstances where you have to maybe work harder, but it's not like there's things you can't do.
yeah,
So with ADHD, what I found really interesting is there is a biological difference, and there are a lot of things that we tend to struggle with, but most of them, from my experience, seem to be, many of them, that we can learn to either improve our ability or skill or learn to work around. And deciphering the difference is part of the work I do with clients. Is that something to practice and work on and improve like a muscle? Or is that something that's always going to be challenging for you, and we're better off working on ways around it?